Well, welcome to the PFP Podcast. I'm chuckling a little bit because I think this is take 17. A little technical difficulties, switching devices. Hey, life wouldn't be any fun if it was all that easy.
That's right. That's right.
So our guest today is Aaron Pridmore. Aaron's the voice behind the S.L.I.D.E podcast. Also serves as the tournament coordinator for the Savannah Bananas. Has spent a number of years in the game, but rather than hear it from me, Aaron, why don't you walk us through your journey and what brought you up into this point?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with childhood. I wanted to be in the MLB like every kid that plays youth baseball. I learned how to play the game on a sand lot, very similar to the movie and probably similar to Smalls' age there. But as I got older, I realized that there was things that prevented me from wanting to play the game. I'll just say that. And as I got older and graduated from high school, I started working with big box retailer Best Buy. I spent 26 years total with Best Buy. But back in 2022, I wanted to start a podcast to help youth kids and wanted to be able to, celebrate kids in a way that's different than our traditional ways of celebrating kids in youth sports. And that meant we want to talk about everything. There's so much that goes on. I used to think when I started this, and I would always tell parents, you never know what's going on in a kid's mind when they step up to the box. They got all kind of stuff going on. And, I wanted to provide a way that hopefully would inspire parents and coaches and players to have fun with the game. And obviously, my big thing is let kids be kids, and so I wanted to recognize kids. And we've had PG, top performers on the show, but we've also had kids on the show that may never play in your regular PG tournament, and they just love the game. And so, really, I started the show to give kids an avenue to feel safe and come on and have some fun, man. We talk about all kind of stuff, and really it's just about inspiring kids to live out their dream. Because since starting the podcast, and this is kind of a long-winded story, but in 22, I didn't even know who the Savannah Bananas were. And after starting the show, getting into social media, obviously it hit me who the Savannah Bananas were. Ended up having Emily Cole on the show during the first season, quite a few players. And then I had the opportunity to take my family down to a game. And I would have to say that was the most fun that I had ever had up until that point at a sporting event. And I've been to plenty. And I told my wife there, I'm like, I want to work here. So got back from the game, shot a couple emails out, got introduced to the Bananas way of hiring, which they look for you to bring a future resume. And now, granted, like I said earlier, I'd spent 5 years in the professional environment, helped coach resumes and all this different stuff. And that was a new term for me. And so the way they explained it is if you get a job with us, what would you get up every morning excited to do? And so I wrote it out. And this again goes back to the summer of 2022. And the show had already opened my eyes to a lot of different things in the youth community. And so I wrote my future resume as youth banana ball director. And then I wrote it out of 3 years what it would look like, and 5 years what it would look like. That December of 22, I got a phone call and said, hey, we're ready. Ever since then, it's been kind of a fairy tale, man. We had our first youth banana ball tournament last year in Cleveland, Ohio, and I got the chance to be involved and be the tournament director, and the show continues to grow. And for a long-winded answer, it's been pretty freaking amazing.
Absolutely. Obviously, I had a chance to be out there with you for the last event, and my kids, not just TJ, not just my son who played in it, but my daughters, they asked when we're going back, right? They want to be a part of it. And, you said that first time that you went to the Bananas game, you walked away wanting to go back. I can't imagine there's too many people out there that don't know what banana ball is. But do you want to talk a little bit more about it and why you think it's such a hit with fans and
Well,
some of the differences or the nuances in the game?
Well, if you watch, and I have to say the Big Bananas, if you watch the Big Bananas play, they're more interested in creating like just a fun environment. And so for that in itself is so much different than the pros. You look at MLB and then you look at how they take care of the fans and everything that's fans first. It just changes the dynamic as you go to a Big Bananas game. So as we looked at the youth side of the game, it was really around what are the things that drive parents crazy, and gate fees. Like who want, like you already pay for your kid to be in this expensive program probably, and then you got to show up to tournaments and pay gate fees. So we removed those kind of things. But more importantly, banana ball is a version of baseball, but we've removed, and this is, you know, Jesse says this very, very often, is we've removed the boring parts of the game. And so for kids, it's a fast paced game. You know, fast pace removes a lot of the time for kids to process and think. And baseball's a game of failure. I think we all would agree on that. And what Banana Ball does differently is we celebrate other things. You know, we celebrate the trick plays. We celebrate the crazy, insane walkout intros that these kids do, the costumes that they do. I mean, it was just a totally different dynamic. And that's why I saw after watching that first game and then getting to know members of the organization, it felt like this is what the kids need. If you go out to a complex on a weekend and you're watching any given tournament, you're going to see parents that are taking it to an extreme level. You're going to see coaches that are kicking dirt, throwing stuff, arguing with umpires, even attacking umpires in some cases I've seen and discovered. And so with Banana Ball last year, and as well as I do, man, it was, I say this to everyone, it was the most kumbaya style environment for a baseball tournament I think you could have imagined. Parents were cheering on both teams. Kids were doing these walkout intros, and I mean, some of them were like well planned out. I mean, choreographed with the music, and you just saw kids smile. That's what you don't see a lot at your traditional tournaments. And there's nothing wrong with those tournaments. Like that's a great way for kids to continue to grow in the game, and we all know, understand those things. But sometimes kids just need to be reminded that, first of all, you're 12 years old or you're 10 years old, and you should be showing up excited to play, not dreading to play. And I feel like that happens a lot. And Banana Ball offers a different way for kids to enjoy the game. It is kind of how I would just phrase it and wrap it up is, man, we just let the kids let their guards down. We had kids last year, Nelson, that when they showed up, it was really hard for them to look me in the eyes and talk, and they were really shy. And by day two, these kids were out of their shell. And in some cases, the parents had never seen their kids act the way they did on the field, and for good reasons, right? It wasn't because they were doing anything bad, but I mean, parents said that they had never seen their coach smile until they showed up to the event. And I think honestly, it adds more of a human element to it. It allows us to make a mistake. It allows us to try things that we've never or would never try on a baseball field. And you're not punished or penalized for those kind of things. It's a really cool environment for everyone, especially the kids.
And you said that it removes the boring parts of the game. I'll take that a step further. I think the most boring part of the game, right, especially at the youth level, walks,
Oh my
right?
God.
Not only does it remove them, but it makes it the most exciting part of the game, right? The ball
Yeah.
four sprint, and probably the biggest difference maker. I know just from my own personal experience, we didn't take a single round of BP. We didn't take a traditional in out. All we worked on for pregame when I was coaching out there was how we're going to defend against the ball four sprint.
That's right.
And we were lucky enough to advance a little bit through the playoffs. And by traditional means, weren't the most talented bunch. Okay. But we knew how to play the game. Okay. So I think that's the really neat thing. And just running down the rest of the rules, do you want to talk about some of the other
Yeah.
banana
Well,
ball rules?
here's the one that I think sets this game so far apart than anything else kids has done. You got to win the inning, right? So that to me leveled the playing field for these tenured teams or these teams that had been together for a while. If you've been to a tournament, you've seen that those two or three first 3, 4 innings, the team puts up 6 runs an inning, and then we're switching out. Now we've got a game that's already blown out. And what that does to the other team, as well as parents and coaches, is they stop playing. They check out early. They're ready for the game to be over. But in this situation, you can put up as many runs as you want, and you're still only going to walk away with 1 point if you score more runs in that inning. Cool part about that as well is if you're a home team,
Walk out.
you get to walk off. You have the ability to walk off every inning, and who doesn't want 5 walk-offs? I mean, that's crazy. Like you said, ball four sprints. If you're watching a 10, 11, 12 year, tournament for those age groups, you're going to see a lot of walks in a lot of cases. Oh my gosh, that's so boring. And in a ball four sprint, last year you had to throw the ball to all positions before the ball became live, and then you could stop a runner. We had kids that, just like the Big Bananas did when we first started, is we had kids getting a 4-ball sprint and getting a home run out of it. And then as the tournament went along, we saw teams get really sharp at those 4-ball sprints, and they started holding them to a single or a double. Then you look at fan catching a foul ball. Like, who can ever imagine parents actually playing a role in the game? And funny enough, we saw so many parents show up to the park with their gloves, parents strategically placing each other in positions to be ready to help. Incredible. And then showdowns, we don't go to extra innings in banana, because extra innings is just more of the same. And in some cases, those are the innings that are the most painful to watch. With us, man, we went through our showdowns just like the big boys do. First round of showdowns is you got a fielder that's in the infield, you got a pitcher on the mound, you got a catcher, and you got a batter at the plate. All right. The goal of this is that batter's got to score, so he gets to take the pitch. When he hits it, that ball goes, whether it's in the infield, outfield. That infielder has got to go run get that ball and then get the ball to home plate in order to stop that runner. Second round, you remove that fielder, and now the pitcher goes to retrieve the ball. And then third round, you load the bases. We give the defense the infielder back, and then it's about how many runs do we score on a hit. And what was funny is we knew going into it, Coach Viro and Coach Gillum and myself, we talked, and we knew kids were going to expose our rules because we followed the same rules that the big boys did in Cleveland. And we ran into a lot of situations that we had never had with the Big Bananas, which helped us even further build out the banana ball rule book. So there's a lot of what ifs, and there's a lot of like, if this happens, this happens. And we had never had a ground rule double in a game until we played the youth tournament. And so now we can build out the rule set for that. And I mean, banana ball in general is fast paced. And another thing I'll tell you is kids watch the MLB. They watch these guys step out of the batter's box. They watch them readjust their batting gloves and everything else. And so you looking at 10 seconds to 15 seconds between pitches with banana ball. You step out of the batter's box, that's a strike. And the most important rule, I think, out of all of it that just sort of sums everything up is you can't bunt in banana ball. If you lay down a bunt, you're ejected from the game. And I only saw one kid do this in Cleveland. It was the very last game on the very last night. Kid laid down a bunt just to have some fun, and we had a spectacle where the umpire, throws him out of the game, and the kid has fun, protesting a little bit, but we empowered kids and we let kids kind of navigate that whole environment. And I think we all walked away as better people from allowing that to happen.
No doubt. And I mean, better people, you referenced a few of them that are pretty great people, in my opinion, between Biro, Gilly, obviously, Jesse Cole, Emily, you mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
How closely are they tied to the youth side of things? I mean, do you guys collaborate pretty often? Is this something that,
Yeah.
what has been kind of their role in your guys' conversation and the vision for the future of the youth side of Banana Ball?
I'm gonna tell you, Jesse Cole, from just the small time that I've spent with Jesse, Jesse is an inspiration just to listen to talk. But he is, if you go back and read some of Jesse's early books, Youth Banana Ball, not so much as called that, but kids playing banana ball was a part of his vision. And so he's very involved. We're learning a lot as an organization because travel ball audiences are not necessarily always who follows the bananas, surprisingly enough. And so we're learning a lot, and that's what the bananas do best is test things and try different things to see what works best. And so having Jesse a part of every bit of this has been critical because sometimes we have an idea and then we run it through Jesse or Gilly or Viro or any of the staff for that matter, and they find a way to make something work. And the cool part about it is sometimes we throw out crazy ideas like, what if we did this? Or people have never experienced this. What if we did this? And sometimes we laugh it off and it's like, yeah, that probably couldn't happen. But then someone in a part of that conversation takes it and says, well, we can make that work. Let's do it this way. So the cool part about the organization and not just those individuals, but everybody, like there's no bad idea. And that's for me as an employee, first of all, but as a person, like I feel empowered. And that's the cool part. And I think that's what is so unique about the bananas is every single person on staff plays a role and their opinion counts. What they say people listen to. And so I mean the whole process for the youth, man, we asked a lot of kids, we surveyed parents beforehand. I used the podcast, my audience, to survey and ask questions, and that's where we came up with gate fees. I had surveyed parents and said, what's the one thing that you wish changed in youth sports? And by far, the thing that stuck out was gate fees. And so just like in when you come to see the big bananas play, we don't charge you all these different taxes and all these different fees to buy a ticket from us. We pay all of that. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of lost on everyone is those fees are still there. Those taxes are still there. Even when you buy a t-shirt from us, we pay your sales tax because who wants to do that? And like it's so fun to create something for kids when we have honestly a blank slate and we can just kind of create something catered exactly to the kids in our audience. It's been exciting, but future plans are pretty incredible. And the cool part about what we're doing is it's not just creating an experience for the kids and the families, but we're introducing a new sport to the world. So it's not just show up and have all this fun, but we're really creating this sport. And as we grow the big boy league, and by the end of this year, we're going to have 6 total teams that will be fighting for the Banana Ball Championship at the end of the season. And things for the kids could come very similar to that. So exciting things for the future. That's one of the things that's most exciting about working for the Bananas is something bigger's always coming and something better. And it constantly keeps your mind working on what's next? Like, what can we do? Like, there's nothing that we can't do if we all work together and look at the results that the bananas have had. And that's a proving method. So,
Sure, for sure. And you referred to it as being very kumbaya. Oftentimes at the pro level and at the youth level, unfortunately, one of the wedges that prevent us from that is the officiating,
yeah.
right? And I'll say this again, going back to experiencing it firsthand last year, we had fun with the umpires. I mean, my one daughter's a gymnast and they're doing backflips between the innings, and she's not even part of the team, but it's inclusive of her.
Yeah.
Obviously the big bananas, you got Vinny and you got the ninja umpire, and they become kind of their own celebrities as well.
Yeah.
But then it's a new sport. So what's it been like trying to educate these umpires and kind of bring them along, and how that go last year? Because there's going to be some confusion, but what's their response, the umpiring, the officiating groups been to you presenting this?
Well, last year we recruited umpires and we kind of, well, I don't want to say kind of, we laid very clear expectations out to the umpires that just like I told you, this is not your traditional baseball tournament. We want excitement from everyone, and that includes the umpires. And obviously Vincent can't umpire every game that's out there, and but we still want that type of experience. And what we saw last year is we saw umpires smiling. We saw umpires dancing. We saw Blue Lou cutting backflips. We saw umpires dancing just with the kids. And here's what stuck out to me the most is tournament wraps. And the next morning, tournament finished on Saturday. We all got back home and everything, I think by Sunday or Monday. Monday morning, I got emails from some of those umpires saying it was the best time that they had ever had. Some had even considered, and some each actually had already kind of hung up their umpiring suit and was kind of done because the world for youth sports and umpiring is just so toxic. I mean, if you're an officiant in youth sports, you're the enemy. And in this situation, you were just part of the fun. And so it revived, I think, a lot of these umpires to say, this is where I want to spend my time. Is I want to have fun too. Umpires were a part of the excitement, like I said, and umpires were volunteering to want to come back. And I don't know that there's too many tournaments out there. And of course, there's going to be some directors that, want to say something different. But I bet there's not a tournament out there where umpires had as much fun as they did with us last year in Cleveland, and will have with us this coming year in Savannah.
For sure. We would talk about it at the meeting at the plate, right? The umpire,
Yeah.
the one umpire is like, he's like, my cheeks are hurting. He goes, usually my knees are sore from working the plate. He goes, this year my cheeks are sore. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to how to ice those. So yeah, those guys,
You
no
just got
doubt, we're having a blast.
see people's personalities, and that's what's lost on so much of today's environment is people are so busy going from one thing to another, and everything's serious. And when kids get the chance to show you their personalities, whether it's through how they play the game, how they do their walk-ups, the umpires, whoever the case, like when they get a chance to show their personality, they're going to be willing to give you so much more. And again, it comes back to the word empowerment, I believe, is where we empowered the kids to really like come out and play and do your thing, be you. And that's what I have heard from families so much since that event, and families that are interested in coming to this event or registered already is, man, we want to see these kids have fun. And we will not tolerate any arguments and drama am I muted again?
Very good.
Okay,
You're
good.
good.
Parents had the most fun I think parents have ever had as well. And it wasn't because the umpire wasn't being his normal self. It was just the environment allowed everyone to relax. So, and that's why I call it kumbaya. That's about the best phrase I can use for it is kumbaya. Usually in my head is when everyone's getting along and everyone's having fun. And to me, that's exactly what a banana ball tournament should be.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know that's a big part of the podcast too, right?
Yeah.
Is allowing those kids to show their personalities and really kind of come out of their shells. And you're really threading the needle here because I know how a lot of the players I coach would answer, but my bet is some of the kids that you had on the show, if they had the choice to go two paths, right, they might want to be a big banana over an MLB player. The paycheck right now might be a little bit better as an MLB player, but Coach Rack might be teetering on that, and he's turning some heads. What's your conversation been like with the kids on the podcast? Are they talking about being big bananas one day, or
You hear a lot of
what are they saying?
kids. Yeah, you hear a lot of kids that want to be a banana, want to be a party animal. There is kids that can't. This was funny. I heard this from parents when we got back a week after we got back from Cleveland. Is we had that tournament in August, mid-August, September is when that fall season really starts to turn, and kids were going back to their normal team practices. And some kids were telling their parents they didn't want to play traditional baseball anymore. Like they wanted to play banana ball because again, kids were allowed to be kids. And there was no parents putting unnecessary pressure on anyone. And I think it comes down to there's all this conversation around is baseball a dying sport? Is WNBA going to be more popular than MLB in the future? Here's the reality is we want to see the pros having fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
That changes everything. We want to see the pros celebrating some stuff. You don't have to celebrate in a way to where it threatens your opponent, but you can celebrate with your team, and that's what we do, right? If you get a call 3 strike, Vincent's probably going to do some twerking because you just got out. but you got to laugh it off, right? So it changes the dynamic for things. And listen, we just had Johnny Gomes on the show a few weeks ago,
Hmm.
and Johnny's played at the highest level, 2 World Series champions, Red Sox, Royals, and he's also suited up for the Bananas. And
Hmm.
he will even tell you it's a different environment for players, and that's why some of those retired and older guys want to come back and play. But no, I think listen to how Jesse talks, all right? And listen to how Viro and Gilly and all these guys, when you hear them talk, everything is about the fans. And this is one of the things that I asked Johnny on the show was I really would love to hear the owner of the team talking about everything he does is based on the fans, the fan experience. I want to hear those star players. I want to hear the star players get up there instead of talking about contracts. Talk about what they're going to do better for the fans. What experience are you going to bring the fans? Because that's what's lost is we don't include the general public into professional sports. They're there to watch and to spend all that money on those tickets. And I'm going to tell you, I went to an NFL game this past year and it cost me $85 to get my wife something to drink, eat myself, and it was $85. But we spend so much time on the business side of it in the pro sports. And if we really just stopped and said, "What, let's do what the fans want." You're going to have more fans wanting to buy tickets from you. Those higher salaries are going to be a lot easier to pay. I mean, listen, I go on all my rants. I can get on tangents. So, but no, I think kids want to be in banana ball because they see how much fun it is. And what the pay right now is obviously a significant difference. I mean, you got a 700,000, $1 million, or $1 billion contract, and all these crazy numbers. Like, yeah, that's a big difference. But I don't think a 12-year-old kid should be worried about that at that time. And I don't think a 14 and a 15-year-old should be thinking about that either. And what's funny enough is kids see through those things. Kids, the reason why the show's special, the reason why the youth tournament is so special is because kids can inspire us as adults. Kids have inspired me to be a better person. When you get a chance to really talk to a kid and they let their guard down, you can really hear what makes that kid tick. And I feel like that's another thing that's lost on youth coaches is coaches are more concerned about winning and ring chasing and all these other little stupid things, but instead they're not getting to know their kids. And that's if you want to put a kid in a position to be successful, get to know them, get to know what makes them tick, and you'll put them in a position where they're going to flourish. So anyway, I'll shut up with that.
No, no, I feel you. And who are, I mean, don't be afraid to shout some out. Who are some of those kids that you said you've drawn inspiration from, or some memorable guests you've had, or just kids you've met out at the field? Who are some of those guys and gals?
I first got to talk about our field reporters.
Are they the Slide Posse?
That's a cool. I like that. I haven't thought of that one, but I like it. We call it the field team now, but I like the posse. I like cool words, but nah. So what I did last year is I started the show about kids. We've talked to over 500 kids so far around the country, whether it's through the show or through our field reporters. But last year when we started the show, last year as we started our third season, I've constantly wanted to find more ways to get kids involved because the feedback that I received from parents after the kids were on the call or getting ready for their interview is how much the kids enjoyed having that experience talking. But then also I had a lot of parents say, you know what, this is what I've been working on with my kid is public speaking and how to communicate because let's face it, today in the youth world, there's not a lot of talking. It's games and it's swiping and like that communication that you and I grew up just being accustomed to is not existing anymore. So helping kids, giving kids a way to honestly, and how I view it is start building their resume at a young
Hmm.
age. And so what we did is I recruited 8 kids last spring to be what was going to be called our field reporters. And I grew up in a world where you had fan clubs and you had street teams and all this cool stuff. And I was like, I want a slide street team. But how do I do it? And so it became our field reporters, and giving kids the opportunity to learn how to ask questions, giving kids the opportunity to have a dialogue, to get used to walking up to people that they don't necessarily know, and then being able to start a conversation. And so going back to your original question of who I'm sticks out, I go back and look at these field reporters. We now in season 4 today, we have 24 field reporters on our team. We have even a few kids that work solely just on the content that we create. And it's pretty awesome. My goal for the show when I started it in 22 is I wanted to create a network for youth kids, for the parents, for coaches, so that if you come to the slide, you're going to find different entertainment for different sports, whether it's flag football, whether it's baseball, basketball, and then you can get some entertainment, you can get education. And we're slowly starting to build that with this field team and some of these new things that's coming. But no, some of these kids have just drastically changed. First of all, I have to say Banana Jake. He was, I think, our third or field reporter. They all have their numbers of when they were brought onto the team. But this dude was very much stiff, upright, and I gave him every field reporter has to have a cool nickname, and that's part of their requirement to be on the team. But this dude, he was very much ask a question, get an answer, ask another question. And how I phrase that to the kids is that's an interrogation style interview. Our goal is to turn interrogations into conversations. And I don't know if that's ever been used or if that's my phrase, but what we've done is over time I work with these kids and we get on calls, and we talk about how asking open-ended questions can help, and what's the difference between an open-ended question and a closed-ended question, and really just helping these kids learn to expand on the dialogue that they're having. If you go watch Banana Jake today, this dude is like, you would think he's went through some professional training, and I don't claim to be that professional training either. So amazing. We've got a female baseball player, Lila Brickwall Bratch. She's in California. She's 14 now and very quiet when we started. She had a little fiery personality that I could tell because she answered me in like one of our episodes. She was very like, she was witty about how she said things, and I love that. And so she was one of the original field reporters, and now she's looking at taking video production in school, and she's done play by play now with her high school baseball team. And like just kids like that. I mean, Trip Taylor, he was our number one, the first field reporter. This kid, sometimes, Nelson, it's like the TV show Kids Say the Darndest Things. And that's what our show is so amazing for. And Trip is he's the poster child, man. You can have that kid do anything and he'll do it. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. So if you haven't ever heard of the Twin Striped reporters, look them up. Right? Two kids, Cooper and Carter. They're twins, obviously. They live in New Jersey. Ginormous Yankee fans. If you look at anything Yankee related from opening weekend, you're going to see these kids attached to something because their mom made them custom pinstripe suits. These kids are an encyclopedia on baseball history, current baseball players, stats, trivia knowledge. These kids, I mean, they read everything. Well, we had them on the show. I had
Cool.
the Bat Boy on the show with us. That episode is going to air in 2 weeks, and they wanted to do some more work with us. And I've wanted since the beginning, I wanted a sports center type show hosted by kids, because to hear Scott Van Pelt and Ortiz and all these big boys talk about stuff, yeah, that's cool. But what does things look like from a perspective of a kid? And to me, again, that's where we can open more people's eyes to say, listen, you're not doing things right. Like, listen to kids. To me, kids are the most perfect thing on this earth until adults get involved. And that's where you start to see things change. But so Cooper and Carter, hopefully this will be right as we're announcing, but they're going to have the Twin Stripe Hype. And it's going to be a YouTube show presented through us. And they're going to have their broadcast desk, and they're going to talk opening weekend. They're going to talk MLB. They're going to talk slide. They're going to do all kind of crazy stuff. And we're going to have guests, of course, but it's going to be essentially an MLB Tonight / Sports Center for kids, hosted by kids. And that's coming. And I think we're about to release some footage of a couple different things. If you've ever watched The Impractical Jokers, I'm a huge fan since the first season.
You
And
and I both.
I'm like, what if we had the unpredictable reporters?
There you go.
So now we have 4 kids that we're going to introduce and reintroduce some as the unpredictable reporters. And some of the stuff that we have already tried, I've already got clips of some of the things we're kind of rehearsing and trying, is freaking funny. And to see kids do things like this, it's just another side of kids' personalities. But that's what I'm here to do, is I'm here to open up possibilities for kids that would have never been options for them before. I'm here to hopefully inspire, and I know you're probably going to ask me what the SLIDE stands for. All right. So in my 26 years working at Best Buy, we had an acronym for everything. And we ended up having our own language through those acronyms. And so, as I wanted an acronym for our title, and I wanted the slide. And so I sat down and I wrote. So S stands for sportsmanship. Like, we can't talk about anything else in a competitive environment unless we talk about sportsmanship first, because that again is what allows people to become and comfortable being themselves. And then so then you go to, let me look at, I have to look at my thing just to remember right offhand, but L is for leadership, right? Every team's got a leader. But that doesn't mean that those players can't be leaders as a part of those teams. So we really encourage kids to do things different, try something different, stand out, create a name for yourself. The I is for inspiration and inspire. Right, because we want to inspire people, man. I want that parent that just constantly gives the umpire or their coaches a pain in their rear. I want to hopefully reach those parents and say, you know what, I can chill out a little bit. Why do I do this? And the D is for dedication, because if you're going to be good at anything, you got to be dedicated. And I can tell you, we're dedicated as a S.L.I.D.E podcast on delivering through our messages for kids. And then we want our kids to learn what dedication truly means as well, because to be successful in life and to learn a skill that can really help you've got to learn what dedication means. And then obviously the last one is E, and that's where the excitement comes from. Right. So E is for excitement. I toyed with changing it from excitement to empower, but we're just going to stay on excitement, because at the end of all of those things we just talked about, you got to create an exciting environment for everyone. And whether it's the coach, the parents, or the players, you can make a difference yourself. And so that's what the SLIDE stands for. And I wanted every one of those words to be something that we can teach kids about, something that hopefully they'll take away and learn. Maybe for the first time they hear the word inspiration, or they hear inspire and they learn about it. And then they take that and they start to learn how they can help inspire people. So it's about teaching kids how to constantly be able to give forward and to think of the future a little.
And it's, as you're talking through all that, it's remarkable to me. It's like a chicken or the egg, right? It perfectly represents everything that's on the bigger stage with the bananas, and something that you had thought up and were already work in progress on the youth level. So you talk about brand alignment and, similar thinking and everything else.
It's so symmetrical, man. Like, everything feeds each other. And if you look at the bananas, they have a flywheel, right? And that flywheel kind of shows we got to create demand, and we got to do all these different things. And when you look at how, when I get up in the morning, everything is about kids, whether it's bananas in the afternoons, whether it's the slide, whatever the case may be. My goal in life, and this is something that I'll say with complete conviction, is when I started this show shortly after, is I felt God's purpose for me being here. And I'd never found that before. Working all those years, all that success that I did have in leadership at Best Buy and so on, I never felt that calling. And today I'll tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's what I'm here for, is to kids. And cool part about the show is I tell every kid before we get off that episode, after we stop recording, is listen, if there's anything you ever need from us or me, you call me. And there's some kids that have called me when they've had bad days. Over the past month, we've had kids who were getting bullied. And in one case, the parent knew something was going on with the kid and had me talk to the kid. And the kid told me they were being bullied, and the parent overheard it, and the parent wasn't even aware of it. So to me, it's about, I'm always available. We have West Coast kids. Ironically enough, I live in South Carolina. We've got a bigger following everywhere except here, I feel like. And like California is huge for us. And so whether it's Texas, California, Arizona now, and Nevada, where that, like, those states are huge for us. And so sometimes that means at 9 o'clock at night, when it's 6 o'clock there, I'm jumping on a call with a kid, or 9:30 one night, and I was on the phone with them for over an hour. And because kids just want to know somebody cares.
Yep.
And one of the things that I tell parents is don't allow your ego to get in the way from kids growing. Kids deal with stuff. Mental health is a huge buzzword these days. And the reason I call it a buzzword is because as soon as it became something that we were talking about, all of these specialists showed up. And so I like to refer to it as a buzzword, but kids deal with those things, whether it's their girlfriend just broke up with them, or they got killed on Fortnite so many times. Like, that stuff does stay in their head. And as parents, sometimes we forget that. We only look at them through our agenda. We don't know what they have going on. And sometimes parents, if you can be, just drop your ego a little bit, don't take it personal. Sometimes your kid just needs to talk to someone different. And
Yep.
it's not a negative towards the parent at all. And I've learned that personally through my kids. Is
Yep.
instead of me taking it personal and say, oh no, if they go talk to someone, I've done something wrong. That's not the case. But you would be surprised. And I think parents would tell you from our show and my interactions and our interactions is we do create a safe space for kids. I tell kids, listen, if you have a bad day at school or something's going on, call me. I'll tell you some fart jokes. Man, we'll cut up. We'll talk about Fortnite. Listen, I'll talk about Riz and Drip and Sigma and bussing. And like, that's the funny part, is when kids hear me saying Riz and Sigma and stuff, they get such a kick out of it. When I'm the kind of guy that I'll say the stupid stuff just to make them relax.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make myself look like
Yep.
sometimes people would probably wonder how much I really know about the game because how I act, but to me, that's about creating a safe space for kids. If I get on there and I am the expert at everything, what have I got to learn from them? And I've learned so much from kids. I've changed how I coach through the kids on our show. I coach flag football right now with my son. He's more into flag football than he is baseball, and I'm okay with that. But I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I've learned most through the show, and something that the Lord didn't bless me with naturally, is patience. And if you're going to do anything with kids, and whether this is teaching, whatever the case may be, Lord, you got to have some patience, but you also got to be able to listen. And that's where I think a lot of kids just get lost in their own thoughts, is there's no one really there to listen to. And parents today, some of you are going to take this personal, and it's okay. And I mean it for you too. Is the game and the role for you is not to be your kid's best friend. So many parents these days are trying to be their kid's best friend. And you don't have to be your kid's best friend to still have a relationship with your kids. And I feel like that's what's lost on a lot of parents these days, as well as coaches too, is what kind of relationship do you have with your kids? Is it just do what I say kind of thing? Or is it, do you really have an understanding of what's going on in your kid's mind? Take time, sit down, ask a question, and shut up and let the kids talk. That's what I've learned on the show is kids just want to be able to talk and not have to worry about what they say sometimes. And we talk about school and education on the show. Get this. Let me ask you a question, Nelson. What was your favorite subject in school while you were in high school?
Ooh, probably graphic arts. Not a traditional subject, but
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I really loved that was at the forefront of doing some logo design and creating uniforms and
You might be younger than me. I don't know, but I'm
yeah.
47. So when I was in school, my favorite subject was PE.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. I mean,
look,
that was the obvious answer. I was going a little
yeah, yeah, you're
off the
trying
cuff
you're
there.
trying to be an adult there, but you know what? My favorite class was PE. First of all, because when it got warm, I got to go outside and play softball because they didn't let us play baseball. Every one of these kids that I talk to today, I would say 95% of them, guess what their favorite subject is?
Still PE?
No.
No. What their favorite subject is?
This will probably blow your mind.
Yeah, I'm at a loss.
Math.
Interesting. Okay.
Every one of these, I want to say every one, but 8 out of 10 kids that I talk to, math is their favorite subject. They don't like ELA. I mean, they love PE, but PE is not what it used to be. But math, here's what I've learned as well: is math is definite. There's a definite answer, right? There's a right way to get the answer, and if you do anything different, it's wrong. Kids like being able to check their work and to know they are right.
Uh-huh.
When they write something, it's left open for interpretation. Then it's left open for checking grammar, you're checking spelling, all these different things, right? In math, if you follow the instructions and you work the problem the right way, you find out your answer and if you're right. And that's what kids appreciate these days is they like definite. They like to know for sure. And so as a parent, I take that and I apply that as a parent too. I try to be very transparent about things with my kids as well as others. Kids are smart these days. They're learning a lot through social media, and it's kind of hard to trick a kid these days. And so I what I have found most often is being transparent. Now, granted, there's a word in there in the transparent, like you're still the parent, right? So whatever you're revealing, you've still got to put a filter on. Tell your kids, educate your kids about the real world, give them some understanding, and also give them a little bit of respect and say, hey, what I'm going to teach you about this. Kids like that as well. I don't know, man. I think again, we can learn so much from kids as older and as I get, man. I feel young today. I'm old. I'm 47, but these kids make me still feel like I'm in the 20s. Now, some of them they'll make me feel old because they like to just mess with me. But these field reporters that I talked about earlier, they're actually my co-host on the show. So they
Mhm.
get to come back and they get to learn how to do the podcast and prepare and stuff. And there's a couple of them like talk trash to me, and they pretty quick and they're pretty good. Sometimes I'll lob them one, sometimes I'll give them one, but sometimes they sneak something in that surprises me. So it's it's fun. It's super fun.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I mean, kids keep you on your toes, like you said, but they also they remind you how to dream, right? And I think that's the most inspiring thing is that anything's possible when you're a kid. The sky's the limit isn't just something on a postcard, right? It's something they believe in their heart, and the more that we're able to, nudge them in those directions and put up those guardrails so that they can accomplish those things, like that's what we're put here to do. And I
That's
think you
exactly
really
right.
did a
Well,
great job of exemplifying that.
I mean, look at the MLB, right? Every kid wants to be in the MLB, and what the one percenters really truly make it to the bigs. All right. So if I'm a kid, how disparaging or how frustrating is that for me to read that stat? I'm going to work my tail off. But you know what? There's careers in MLB outside of just being on the field. And so That's another thing that even through our show that we talk about is the different positions that, the athletic trainers, the media guys, the video production team, like the front office and the staff of the MLB, minor leagues, independent leagues, sports in general. You would be so surprised. Now, I am prime example, Nelson. I didn't finish college, right? That's a huge regret of mine, but I didn't finish. I had a pretty successful career at Best Buy, but who would have ever thought when I graduated high school that sometime in my future I would end up working for a professional baseball team in the sport that I loved so much as a kid? And I have the ability to honestly just be myself. With the world and how everything is going these days, you don't get a chance to truly be yourself in a lot of different areas, except maybe at home. But the cool part about the bananas and the podcast is I get to bring my true self to work, and they appreciate that. So it's an inspiring thing. And I tell every kid, look, I'm testament to that. If you want it, the only thing that's going to stop you is you.
As you, for sure. And also, like, even if it's a different path they choose, an example that my son, right, we both have 10-year-olds. Actually, TJ's birthday is today. It's his 10th
Okay.
birthday.
Awesome.
But he had wrestled for the past 3 years.
Mhm.
Also does flag football and basketball and baseball. But this year was tough. This year was really tough in wrestling because he wasn't a rookie anymore, and he moved up an age division, and
It got hard, got real.
yeah, it got real quick. And there was a lot of kids wrestling year round, and he wasn't feeling it. I have a couple choices there. You could say, hey, you started this, you got to finish it. But you could see that his heart wasn't in it, right? So I don't know if that's doing anything for him. And it's not a team sport where if he doesn't show, the team's
Yeah.
going to crumble.
Yep.
But what I told him was, listen, like, I have no problem with you choosing an alternate path, but whatever time you were going to invest into this, we're going to reallocate into something that's going to be productive. I don't care
100%.
if it's reading a book with mom, if it's going to do more baseball stuff, if it's going to run the hills, if it's going to go to the driving range, and whatever you want to do. If you want to pick up an instrument, right? But you need to be productive, and I think that's it. Is that if we give kids the outlets to experience different things, allow them to find out what they're passionate about, they're going to tell you, right, what they love, and their actions and how they spend that time is going to let you know where the investment should be.
Yeah. Well, think about
So,
kids, man. All right. So, what's the percentage of kids that actually from 12U make it on the high school team? And that's a small percentage that even make it onto their high school club, right? So, but you see today, and this is another thing, parents, if you're listening to this, and coaches, if you're along with this one, kids need to play multiple sports. I have talked to so many scouts now. I have talked to professional MLB former and current players, and I can tell you, you need to be an athlete before you need to be a baseball player. And scouts will tell you, and Nelson, you know this, all right? If this kid has only been a baseball player his entire life, and his parents have gave him all the special training, all of the hitting, coaching and everything, pitching, you know what? The kid's got a lot of miles on this shoulder. Right. And we wonder why kids are starting to get Tommy John surgery at the age of 12 years old.
yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
And parents, let your kids learn different things. One of the things that stuck out to me most, and this was one of the first scouts we had on the show, but teach your body different ranges of motion, you know, and, throwing a football may look similar to throwing a baseball, but it's different. Passing a basketball, you're getting your body used to different angles, different movement patterns. If you only play baseball, your body knows one way of going. And that's where injuries could could be prevented if we allow and introduce different things to kids. I know, and I hear this from parents. Well, if my kid don't play travel ball, or if my kid don't play year round, they're going to get behind. You know what? If a kid truly loves something, and you find this out when you let them experiment with different things, if a kid truly loves it, they won't lose it. That passion is still there. And, I would encourage people, baseball, the spring is where usually the rubber hits the road, is in that spring season. Fall season, look, there is a tournament every weekend. You can go spend money and put your kid in these tournaments, or you can put them in something different. And, Johnny Gomes, for example, he told me his sons will only play the sports that it's in current season. Now, again, two-time World Series champion, right? Professional baseball player, probably will end up in the Hall of Fame somewhere, shape, or form. But he told me in football season, that's where his kids will be. Baseball season, that's where his kids will be. He's not going to allow his sons or his daughters to play, you know, an extreme amount of one sport. And it's just about balance and exposing different things to kids, and that's Nelson. I could talk forever, man.
Yeah, you and I both. You and I both. And it's the dynamics too. Like I think the thing that's great about multi-sport athletes is very rarely are they going to be the best or the worst in any one of those sports. So they might be at the top of the heap in one, might be at the bottom of the barrel at the other, and then fall somewhere in between in a third or a fourth sport. And it teaches them how to relate in a team setting, right?
One
Which is
hundred percent.
so important as you go through, socially, professionally, whatever. Like the more that you can be a chameleon and function in those different areas, the more successful you're going to be. So
Let
it,
me
it
let
does
me take what
play
you
in so many
just
ways.
let's extract what you just said there, right? All right. Son's top of his game on his U13 team, travel ball rec, whatever. And parents are proud of little
Yeah, proud.
Johnny. They're
Real
proud.
proud.
Little Johnny wants to go play basketball, but the kid can't make a jumper. Right. I think you need to stay with baseball. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what comes out of a lot of parents' mouth. Instead of saying, let's work
Go
on
work on
that.
that jumper. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go work
Or
on that.
figure out how to rebound
Yeah. So
or contribute.
again, parents' egos. Parents got to say, it's okay not to be the best at everything. It's okay to go learn something that's not naturally easy for you. Some kids are gifted, man. Some kids can just pick up a ball, swing a bat. They just got it. Hand-eye coordination is there. Some kids, it just takes time. And a kid who's struggling right now, maybe getting the bat around, that doesn't mean at 14 he's a stud. He's not a stud. I mean, or she, or I mean, whoever the case. It's what I watch parents put parameters around what their kids are able to do based on parents' comfort level. And are they comfortable sitting in the stands where their kid's not the best? And are they comfortable being able to look at those parents and say, my kid's not the best at this? That's a big drink of humility right there. And some people aren't willing to take.
With the Banana Ball youth tournaments this year, you're utilizing Playbook 365. What stood out to you so far in the past 3 months now of using the system?
Well, I could say how bad it is, but that would be a lot.
Good. Eh.
All right, so I can give you before using Playbook 365, and I can give you what life's like after using Playbook 365. Beforehand, I had to juggle multiple systems, multiple sign-ins. I had to learn multiple systems. Every system's unique. Do they communicate with each other correctly? Are they talking? Where's all these little nuanced problems coming from? Here's the one thing that I would say first and foremost that separates Playbook 65 from anyone is customer service, right? Because if I ever have an issue, funny enough, I hit that little question box, and I'm not talking to AI. I'm talking to a person who then can help me. Now, again, one system, one system that does it all. All of your communication comes through Playbook 365. All your reminders come through 365. Your drafting comes through 365. I mean, for someone who wants something like a one-stop shop, I don't know why anyone would choose anything different, Nelson. And I'm not just saying this because I know you. I know the Playbook 365 team, but I truly, honestly mean I don't know why anyone wouldn't do it this way. It simplifies things for your customer because, things are very consistent. Things look similar. Because as soon as you introduce something new that looks and formatted a little different, whatever the case, that's an opportunity for confusion. And from the bananas standpoint, Jesse has taught everyone, look for friction points. Where are the friction points for our fans? And for 365, your fans are us, your customers, right? And so, from a friction standpoint, listen, setting up the event was the easiest thing. We didn't have to do anything. You guys took care of it. And as far as monitoring the day-to-day process, so simple. You can pull your reports from one place. You can analyze or pull your analytics. Like, you're not going to a different software just to look at one special thing. Everything is housed in one place. And it's pretty freaking cool, man. I love it.
Well, we appreciate that. And, to your point, I think one of the best skills that our team has is just the ability to listen. And when things do come up or changes need to be made, to your point, what do our customers want? What do our people want?
Uh-huh.
And I think we do a pretty good job of trying to make that happen. So thank you very much for that.
I would consider myself a fan, right? And to me, going back to what I said earlier, if we all just address things as who our audience truly is, and we want fans, right? You want fans of 365. I'm a fan. Yeah. I mean,
Fans,
and
fans
all
first, baby, fans first.
that's it. I mean, listen, I don't know if you saw Jesse's most recent video he posted yesterday, but Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina. I was
Yeah.
going to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you can remove friction from people, think of today's family setting. It costs you so much to even go out to McDonald's these days. I
Mhm.
went to a McDonald's drive-through for my son, got us both something that was like $25. And I didn't get anything crazy. But when you can remove all those friction points from your fans, and whether that's tournament directors or whoever the case may be, like, think about their problems. Think about how you can help them solve their problems. And that's what you guys did for us. I mean, we had those preliminary meetings at the beginning. We talked through things that was most important to us, and you guys made some modifications for us. And I don't think that modification was done special just because we were the bananas. I feel like that was done just because we were a potential client coming on board.
100%. And before this, our colors were actually black and orange, and we changed them to yellow.
All
Little
right.
known fact.
All right.
But no, I mean, it's been awesome. It's been great spending, the past, well, I guess, couple hours if you consider the tech difficulties. But I always enjoy picking your brain and hearing your thoughts on things. You have so much impact and influence, but also just access to the kids and hearing their firsthand accounts that it really brings to light a lot of things that they're experiencing. So that doesn't go unnoticed, and we appreciate your work outside of the
Thank you.
bananas, but just in the general community itself.
Thank you. Well, I'm
So
gonna
yeah,
tell you
that's
my inspiration, and if this ever has a chance to get in front of him, I have been doing everything I can to get this guy on our podcast. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. That's
there you
who
go.
I follow. Like, that dude, he don't know me. He don't know about our show. I've messaged his agent several times, so hopefully she said something. Um, I watch him. I learn so much from just different people, and I think as adults, open your mind. Listen, use your ears. Don't talk as much. You have two ears for a reason, one mouth. Anyway, Dion, if you're
Absolutely.
listening to this, I want you, please come on the slide. Um, because we can change youth sports for everyone, Dion. So, Coach Prime, come. All right.
There you go.
I had to say it, Nelson.
Coach Prime and Coach S.L.I.D.E. I
There
love
we
it.
go.
Coming to a podcast near you.
There we go.
All right,
There
man.
we go.
Well, thank you so much. We'll make sure that gets well, I'll send that directly to him as well. And we'll
You
figure out a way. We'll start a campaign to get Coach Prime on the slide.
There we go. All day, all day. Well, look, if we're closing it out, I want to say thank you for giving me this time as well, because I don't get a lot of time myself to share my point of view on things, because I try to talk less when we're talking to kids. And as you've heard, I'm quite a talker, but thank you for allowing. And that's honestly my goal is I just want more and more people to find us. very much in alignment with the Bananas. Jesse wants to impact millions of fans. I want to reach millions of kids. I want to give kids all of that opportunity and different ways to learn things. And whether that's joining our team, because we've got a list of kids that want to be a part of the show now, but, giving me a chance to talk about our show and hopefully grabbing some, a few listeners and viewers from there. You can find all of our stuff on all social media channels, the S.L.I.D.E Podcast Show, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, you name it, we're there. And you can find our show on YouTube as well as Apple, Amazon, Spotify, every podcast out that's out there we're on. So just search Youth Baseball or the S.L.I.D.E Podcast and you're going to find us.
Awesome. We'll be sure to include those, as we distribute this and all the links. So let's get Coach Prime on the slide and build some viewership. So
There we go.
thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Catch you on the slide.